We will get started. So thank you everyone for joining today. We are going to have an inside look at the Project Management Essentials program.
That's my cue. There we go. Sorry.
No problem. So just a little bit about us as an organization. We are CPED, the Wisconsin School of Business Center for Professional and Executive Development. We offer programs and certificates that will give you relevant skills needed to advance your career. All of our programs offer interactive learning sessions facilitated by instructors with practical business experience. CPED also partners with organizations to provide customized professional development programs, coaching, and consulting. For more information on the Center for Professional and Executive Development, please visit our website at www.uwcped.org. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask during today's webinar, you can submit those questions using either the chat or Q&A buttons at the bottom of the Zoom webinar screen. We will pose questions that are submitted during the Q&A at the end of today's webinar. I also want to mention that today's webinar is being recorded and the link to the recording will be made available within the next few days. So at this time, I am going to turn it over to Scott Converse, who, along with Amber Buschmann, will share more about the upcoming Project Management Essentials program.
Thanks, Sarah. I know. Thanks for introducing us and getting us started. I know that throughout the time that we've got with you, the short half an hour period, you've got opportunities to submit questions. But I thought before we even get started, we'd ask you a question. And so there we go. Brooke, thank you so much. What what best describes your goal for attending Project Management Essentials program? I think the question is being posted now. Give you a couple of seconds to choose one that's most appropriate. Brooke, how are we doing? Well, there we go.
Looks like our responses have leveled off with these results here.
All right, so learning a little bit about the program, about 2/3, about 1 in 5 considering enrollment in an upcoming session. And then tied at 8%, exploring for someone on my team and how it fits talent development strategy. Cool, all right, awesome. Thank you for taking that time out. Let's dive into it here. All right. As Sarah had mentioned earlier, my name is Scott Converse. My title is Program Director, and in that role for the past, oh my gosh, 2 decades, I have been working with a team of instructors that make up our project management area. We've got 7 different instructors that teach topics across a whole spectrum of how to see more successful project outcomes. I thought what we would do is bring myself and Amber in to talk about the one essential program, Project Management Essentials, probably my favorite program of the 8 different programs that make up the Master's Certificate in Project Management. I think I like it best because in a short and sweet period of time, just one day, we cover, 10 essential tools, a couple of different frameworks. Really excited about the program itself, but I thought I'd also bring another instructor besides myself into the room. Amber Buschmann has been teaching Project Management Essentials for us, but has also walked in your footsteps, so to speak, because she was once a participant that had gone through our Master's Certificate in Project Management. You'll hear more about Amber in just a few minutes, but Amber, I thought what we do is the following. Here's the following plan that I'm thinking of. Why don't we spend a little bit of time talking about, what are some of the challenges that folks that are doing more complex, more uncertain projects face? Sort of the origin story of Project Management Essentials. What what led it to be built the way that it's being built, who typically attends, so that people get a sense of who they're going to be working with and some of the networking opportunities that they'll see. Um, I like to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the takeaways or some of the big learning objectives associated with the program itself, and how we weave in sort of an immersion learning, action oriented, case driven type of course. And then I know for some folks, this program might be the first step in a professional development journey. And so, without spending a lot of time outside of project management essentials, what are some of the next steps that people typically do after completing that session? And then give some time for them to ask questions to both of us. What do you think, Amber? Is this a good plan? Should we now work
Oh,
this plan?
sounds great. Let's
All
jump
right.
right in.
All right, let's do it. Here we go. So, so here's the origin story behind Project Management Essentials. It was about 2016, and we were talking to past graduates of the big, long 14-day Master Certificate in Project Management certification track, 8 different programs that people choose that are core and elective programs. We're also talking to organizations that had sent those people, and they were struggling with the challenges that I've got listed here. Everything from unclear scope and shifting priorities to lack of stakeholder alignment. A big one for me, or for I know when I was a practicing project manager, one of the big challenges that I was facing as I was moving to more complex project initiatives was this difficulty in manage work across different groups. It was more than just myself that was responsible for building the solution at the end, and that was a big challenge. This list of challenges, though, was a common set of pain points that folks were feeling. And what we wanted to do is we wanted in one day make sure that there was some evidence-based ways for individuals that are dealing with challenges in project-driven work environments to see more successful outcomes. So challenges over here to capabilities over here. Upon completion of the program, we're hoping to see some of these things. Amber, when you think about some of the more complex projects that you've been a part of, off on the, I guess it's on the left-hand side there, what's one of the big challenges that you see as a practicing project manager?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like since I have a lot of experience, I feel like I could relate. I have stories for all of those, to be honest with you. But agree with you in the difficulty of managing work. I think and what it maybe comes down to a little bit is kind of the change management, right? If the purpose of a project is to bring about change and innovation, that equals change, which equals people. And so I think understanding kind of some of those tools to bring the people along on the journey with you, helping you understand the why and understanding what their goals are, how that affects processes. I think some of those tools, those issues have been the biggest challenge in trying to figure out how to bring people along through the
Oh,
project.
so true. There's always the technical tools to help you get an estimate. There are the technical tools to help you in sequencing tasks, but um, there's almost always going to be some of the conflict that occurs across different stakeholder groups. And how do you manage that change and get people excited about the future state? It is it is always about people at the end, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about some of the people then that attend this program. So uh, you kick off a session in the morning, who are you going to be sitting next to? What I thought might be helpful is if I painted the picture of 3 different persona types. These are kind of sophisticated stereotypes of the individuals that you'll see coming into the classroom. The first one I call the accidental project manager. This is this is the individual who's been a contributing technical professional within their organization, has been doing projects for a while, but they've been smaller in scope. They're probably projects that either you were building all by yourself or with a co-located team. Whether you had the title of a technical professional or engineer or analyst, sometimes researcher. You're now, though, being thrown into bigger, more complex projects that span across different functional groups. Sometimes the solution or the output or the event itself is something that, while you're overseeing, you're not going to be owning and using on a day-to-day basis. And so when I hear folks come in and say, hey, I didn't sign up to be a project manager, it just the good work that I've done has led me to now starting to lead more bigger and more complex initiatives. I kind of classify them as the accidental project manager. And one of the big things that they're looking for is how do we how do we develop a standard approach and a common set of tools that not just the person who's attending, but those tools can be then taken back to their teams to help manage not just one project, but the many projects that they're now being associated. That's a little bit different than the cross-functional influencer. A person who's sort of the organizational glue, mid-manager, coordinating across silos, um, on a day-to-day basis, working with all different types of groups. And one of their big challenges is, how when we're dealing with project driven work activities, how do we manage resource constraints when we've got limited time, we've got limited budget, we've got risk issues that we have to manage both for the organization and for end users or customers that might be using the product or service or the thing that's being built. And as that cross-functional influencer, how do you make sure that the roles and responsibilities and who's doing what is well understood? Whether it's navigating those approvals or just understanding the different roles associated with a more complex project that spans multiple work groups. Um, Third type of group that I frequently see in this class is the customer facing problem solver. This is a person that people go to whenever there are organizational challenges, whether it's about process improvement or it's a customer facing role like a service manager or a product or marketing lead. Um, they, they often are interfacing with end users, know what are some of the solutions that the organization is trying to build. And some of their big challenges are about how do we make sure that we get this solution built on time and with budget without running into scope creep, and how do we make sure that the folks that have been assigned the tasks, well, that those tasks are getting completed in the estimate or in the time frame that was originally agreed upon. Sort of the customer facing problem solver. Amber, what do you see when you kick off a session? Is any one of these personas or a different one come to mind when you're thinking about what the audience makeup looks like?
Yeah, I do think you're right that it's really a big mix. The one that I relate the most to, and I've seen in the courses, is this accidental PM. For this is the situation for myself. I actually was managing projects long before I put a title on it and like understood that there were some tools and that kind of thing that could help me out and be more successful. And I find that in the course too, that we have those folks that maybe they are that manager, they're leading a specific, organizational project, and just understanding like that there are tools out there that can help them. And it took me 10, 15 years before I realized like, oh, maybe I should go seek out this program, get this master's
Isn't
degree.
that always the case?
I know.
We
I hope for others that maybe you realize that a little bit sooner in your career, but but at the same time, I do think that that's how it happens a lot. And the thing I think I love about this course is that we try to meet everyone where they are, no matter what group they're kind of in and why they're there. Kind of those relatable examples. We want you to bring in your issues, your projects you're working on. So no matter what group you'd find yourself in, I think that we can make this productive for you and really find a way to connect what you're doing to the tools of project management.
Yeah, I'm even going to throw in, I know I've got three of them up here, but I'm going to throw in a fourth group too. It's a smaller group, but we often do see folks that have the either formal or informal project manager title. And I know at first uh, when I ran across those individuals, I'm like, well, this is a one-day essentials class. Is there? You've probably been doing this for a long time. I'm not sure that we're going to be providing you with any new insights. And what I find is that practicing project managers, project leads, they they gain benefit from this class because you do get this repository of tools and a flexible framework, and all of the assets are in digital format, so they're downloadable and they can augment or add to their existing library of tools that the organization uses. So it's a way to kind of increase the success rate of doing project driven work back at their organization. They're taking the class to help everybody else that's being involved with project driven work activities. So I guess maybe next time we do this, I'll add a fourth group. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. Um, so what do you get when you attend the session? Um, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit and go from the text over here to some of the pictures over there. So let me just zoom in. One of the things that I think was important in the design of the program was to make sure that we give participants a framework, a methodology, a recipe card that can be used in a flexible way to help you in managing more complex projects. You know, we kick off the class by saying, you don't want to you don't want to use all the tools all the time. When you've got a really simple, smaller project, it's just identify a subject matter expert, let them build their task list, and get out of their way, and you'll see successful outcomes. But that approach just doesn't scale well as the level of complexity and uncertainty increases. So we give them a simple four-step approach and then a series of tools and activities to consider for each one of the phases. So I love the flexible phase-based approach that's provided. Um, we practice in session how to use some of these common tools, whether it's the project charter or a project plan and getting estimates into that project plan to the communication plan. Heck, there's a dozen different tool templates that we spend time on in the session. And we use the classroom as sort of a learning laboratory. We throw you into mini scenarios where things aren't necessarily working well, and you use these tools to help work your way and your table team through a challenge or through a dilemma. But I really do, and I know Amber mentioned this earlier. I'm just going to hit it again. I really do think that some of the biggest benefits that folks get from this one day session is the professional networking that occurs. You know, the networking that they get with the instructors. You get us for life. You don't just get us for 7 hours. We are always working with folks after the session, a week, a month, a year later. But you expand that network of project leadership professionals that you can interface with. And I'm telling you, it seems like every single class, there's one or two people that go, hey, I'm working on almost an identical type of project that you're working on. And you walk away with kind of project leadership buddies that you can kick around some ideas with and share what's working and what's not working in the project driven work environments that you've got. Let me get back to our screen. Um, One final thing, and I know I kind of zoomed over it, but you do get project coaching, not just in session, but if you've got questions after the class, whether it's a week or a year later, one of the ways that both Amber and I are measured is in our touch points with participants after the session. So lots of tools, an applied framework, professional networking, and project coaching. Um, it's action packed, that's for sure. Let me jump into how do we design the session itself. Um, I've been a part of the Wisconsin School of Business's professional development group for, well, in the project management area over 2 decades, but almost 30 years I've been designing and building programs that are built for adult professionals. This session isn't built for the undergrad audience or for a daytime MBA, or they're all great, bright future project leaders of America. But you folks, you know there's a difference between theory and practice. And so we want to make sure that we give you actionable things that can immediately help you upon completion of the session. We also want to make sure that it's an applied laboratory where you'll get activities and engagement. It's not a lecture. There are a series of cases and individual activities, group activities. One of my favorites, Amber, is the morning Lego building blocks case. That's always a fun one. Um, Maybe we can talk more about that as time goes by. But interactive casework and we do weave all of this in, though, with evidence-based best practices. And whether it's based upon the research that's been going on in the field of project management or its alignment with professional associations like the Project Management Institute that Amber, I know you're a part of. We try to weave that all in together, make it action-based, practical, evidence-based, and then, as mentioned earlier, uh, a whole suite of digital resources that you can then take with you after the class is done. Everything we touch during the day is in some form of digital format that's downloadable and available to you on the course website. Amber, what do you like best about when you're teaching the project management essentials class and the way it was designed and the interaction that takes place?
I think what I like best is that honestly, every session that I do is slightly different because what we're doing is we're actually taking the cases from the participants. And so while the theory and that evidence-based best practices is always the same, that's going to remain consistent in how we leverage it. Each time it's going to be a little bit different because we need to focus on different problems that folks are having or, different opportunities that we have to kind of leverage different tools. And so that class really is kind of customizable in that way about, who are the people that are in the room and how can we best help them apply this knowledge that they're gaining.
Yeah, and I'm going to dive a little bit deeper on the one that you just on that topic that you just brought up. We spend a lot of time making sure that we've got instructors that are a good fit for these professional development programs. There, I think folks are starting to see, Amber, that well, you speak well and certainly know the topics. You're not a theorist. You're a practitioner. You're applied in nature, and all of the instructors that are associated with our professional development programs are practitioners. As soon as the session is done, you're going to be back working on projects yourself. And as mentioned earlier, you even went through the series as a learning professional as well. And so I find that participants really relate well to the instructors. They're chosen specifically because they work well with adult professionals. Um, let's um, let's talk briefly about what happens after the program is done. I know this is the everybody came here to hear a little bit more about project management essentials, but what happens after that 1 day, 8 hour experience? For some people, when class ends, I tell folks seriously, I loved having you, but I know for most of you, I'll never see you again. And that's a good thing because you've got everything that you need to be more successful at these complex project initiatives. But for some folks, when the session is done, there's additional coaching, like we had mentioned, where we'll be working with them one-on-one on a particular tool or a particular challenge on a bigger project that they've been working with. For others, it's going to be taking all of those digital assets and then spreading it across, customizing it, and making those digital assets sort of organizational resources for their specific company, their specific organization. Um, for some people, once project management essentials have been completed, they're like, oh my gosh, I no longer want to be an accidental project manager. This really is a career pathway that I think is important for myself. And 1 day is great, but maybe a rigorous certification is important for you in your next career journey. And so then we help you with that certification next steps, those courses that make up that master's certificate in project management. Um, and all of this being used to help see more successful project outcomes, helping you, but then also helping your organization. Uh, let's we've got just a little bit of time left. Let's do this. Let's first, remind folks how they can get to the program. This link will take you straight to the course materials website so that you can take a sort of a sneak peek into what the workbook, what the tool templates look like, QR codes available as well. And don't forget, if you've got questions after this session is done, a day from now, a week from now, a year from now, you always have access to us. But I bet some folks do have some questions, Amber. So let's jump to those questions right now. I've got the session objectives up on the left-hand side, some of the things that we covered, those common struggles, who makes up the audience, sort of learning objectives, program design, and post-program opportunities that we went over. But what else can we cover that maybe you've got thoughts about? Brooke, what have we got?
Yeah, Scott. So you've obviously sold everybody on Program Management Essentials, but if you could take one more program after Project Management Essentials, what would it be?
Oh, they're all really good. I'm gonna let Amber talk first. I feel like I've stolen too much. I've spent too much time talking. I'm gonna let Amber start, and then I'll give you my thoughts as well. Amber, favorite next program?
Yeah, I have this experience of trying to figure it out. I kind of have two, I'm going to be honest with
Yeah.
you. One, just for my own personal interest more so than like I'll say the practicality of it in application, although it is very practical. I really wanted to take the Lean Six Sigma. One of the
Yeah.
things that I kind of geek out a little bit about is efficiency. And so when you want to talk process improvement and kind of those efficiencies, the Lean Six Sigma is right up your alley. Like that's a great course. I feel though the one that probably helps with a lot of the challenges that I was facing at the time had to do around stakeholder, whether that were buy-in, understanding the why, understanding what we're trying to do. And so the one I think that I felt was maybe most beneficial for me at the time was that project leadership communication. So
Yeah, the way
really,
that
how do you do that in a project?
yeah, how you deal with all of the different conflicts that occur, sometimes within the team,
Yeah.
sometimes with decision makers above, other times it's with end user customers that are making unrealistic asks of the project team. And yeah, how you deal with all of those different types of project conflict. I love how you gave a nice little plug for the process improvement one that I teach. So thanks for
And,
that.
as a side note, Scott actually was my instructor at the time, and I love the class.
um, My favorite though was, or maybe not favorite, but one that I found most helpful for me as a practicing project manager when I went through the master's certificate was uh, the class in which we use software assisted tools, Microsoft Project, and now increasingly AI assisted tools to help with some of the automation of the tasks that are important to perform as a practicing project manager. So that project management capstone class was a real eye opener for me to just see how to use Microsoft Project effectively, not ineffectively.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anything else, Brooke?
We did get a question on if this program is offered in person or online. I'm happy to answer that one. So in our open enrollment programs, it is held in person at the Fluno Center in Madison, Wisconsin. But we do also offer this program through our custom programming, where if you want to bring this program to your organization for a group, we can do that either at your site, at the Fluno location, or online. So in our open enrollment, we offer it in person at the Fluno Center in Madison, but we do also have the capability to do it in many other places.
Yeah, the modality is flexible. And one final thing about that customized version of Project Management Essentials. That's a really fun variant we when when the request is to send the instructor to the organization and work with 20, 30, 40, or if it's online, hundreds of folks simultaneously on projects that are important to the organization. It's a really rapid way to get everybody up to speed, speaking the same language, understanding and using the tools in a similar way. Can really create some organizational benefit. Those customized delivery of project management essentials. Oh my gosh, where'd the time go, Brooke?
It always flies.
Sarah, is there anything else that you'd like to say before we wrap things up?
No, just thank you, Scott. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Brooke. I really appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Again, thank you, Scott, for putting this back up on the screen. But, please visit the program page on our website using the QR code or the URL you see above. Or if you have any questions, email info@uwcped.org.